Well, hi there. How are you today? Is everything good? Good. Welcome to the, I have to remind myself what day this is, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, a regular meeting of the Placerville City Council. If you would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Okay, thank you very much for that. Would you like? Please roll the call. God, this is starting off real good. You know what to do. Go ahead.
Councilmember Carter?
Here.
Mayor Clarici?
Here.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Here.
Councilmember No?
Here.
Councilmember Yarborough?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ceremonial matters. 3.1, Chief, introduce some new deputy fire chiefs.
Make sure they're back in. Good evening, Mayor and Council and City Manager Warren. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce a couple of our new deputy chiefs to the council and to the residents of Placerville. As the council is aware, we're kind of just about the tail end of our annexation with Diamond Springs, and with some retirements of some of our chief officers within the agency, we've done a little bit of restructuring with the command organization. So recently we completed our testing for deputy chief positions, and thank you to Mayor Clarici and several members, department heads that participated in that testing process for us. And it was, I think it was a really easy process for where I was at with it, but for the candidates, it was a long day, and for the assessment panels, it was a very long day. But I think at the end of the day, we really came out really well for the organization, and I am pleased to introduce this evening Deputy Chiefs Andrew Lemos and Deputy Chief Ben Anderson, and I would invite them up and give them the opportunity to say hello.
Well, come on down.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Andrew Lemos. Worked for El Dorado County Fire the last 10 years and some smaller agencies prior to that. Been here at Station 25 in Placerville for a majority of that time. Been involved with a lot of our training and operational committees. Excited to be here in this position, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you.
Well, good evening, folks. Thank you for the opportunity to address you and introduce myself. My name is Ben Anderson, longtime resident of the county. I was born and raised in the Fairplay area. My grandparents actually moved here in the 30s, so we've got some family roots here. So I've worked for El Dorado County since 2003 with a small break for about 3 years, but this is definitely home, and I'm pleased and honored to serve in this position. Look forward to good things. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chief. And I would just like to say, yes, I was. It was an honor to be on that panel, and the quality and the caliber of the candidates was incredible, and the two are amazing. So. Welcome aboard, and we're looking forward to it. Does anybody else wish to comment on this up here? We all good? Okay. Anybody from the public like to say nice things about these two people? Only nice things. We're not. I'm sorry. Can't really do that. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you very much. All right. We have a proclamation here. 3.2. Proclamation commemorating Debbie Miller's 13 plus years of distinct and faithful service to the city of Placerville. and I have it here. Debbie and I were, what do they call that when you're like we were both on the peak when it was formed. And yeah, inaugural, whatever. Yeah, we were on it. And Debbie's just been great, and she's been on ever since. I got left, and then I came back, and then I left again. But she's done a wonderful job. And is Debbie's daughter here somewhere? Son-in-law, that works too. Okay, come on up, and I'm going to read this. So, a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Placerville commemorating Debbie Miller's 13-plus years of distinct and faithful service to the City of Placerville. Whereas, the Placerville Economic Advisory Committee was established in 2012 to help bolster the local economy, and whereas, Debbie Miller was a founding member of the Peak for over 13 years and served as the committee's chair for the past 9 years, and whereas Debbie brought stability and a voice of reason to the Peak, which reaped consensus and methodical recommendations to the City Council on ways of stimulating Placerville's economy. And whereas, with the help of Debbie's dedicated and unwavering leadership, the Peak established the Placerville Economic Development Strategy, the Hotel Incentive Program, and the Broadband Project, to name a few. Now, therefore, I, John Clarici, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Placerville, State of California, do hereby commend Debbie Miller on her 13-plus years of distinct and faithful service to the City of Placerville, and declare Friday, December 12th, 2025 as Debbie Miller Day. Well, that's exciting. She gets a whole day.
Right?
That is fantastic. That is great. Anyway, well, thank you very much. I'm going to come to, you get a picture and everything,
Yeah.
and you get this.
And then she wanted me to say a few things.
Oh, yeah, by all means, go right ahead.
All right, so she said, she sent me a little speech to give. Dear Mayor Clarici and City Council, thank you for the great honor of proclaiming a day in recognition of my community service. I am truly humbled and grateful for this acknowledgement. It means a great deal to me and strengthens my commitment to continuing to serve our community. Thank you for your leadership and for celebrating the work we all do together. With sincere appreciation, Debbie Miller.
Well, thank you. That was very nice. Yeah, good stuff. Any comments? Okay. Debbie was great. She was like one of those people on the committee, and we'd be like going, and she'd go, maybe we should think about this. And then we did, and we always came up with something better. So does anybody wish to say anything about Ms. Miller and her tenure on the Peak? All right, seeing nothing, coming back. Okay, the best part of this particular meeting, every year we do the Employee Service Recognition. Mr. Warren.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So I'm pleased to announce that we have 6 employees that have achieved milestone anniversaries ranging from 10 years to 20 years. And we have a certificate of recognition along with a gift certificate to spend in the city of Placerville on whatever they want. So the first employee is Regina O'Connell, our city clerk, human resource officer. And Regina, if you can come up, and Mayor, if you can help me distribute the certificates.
Yep, boy, oh boy. It's going to be the last one, folks. Yep. Well, I hope she's in here. Oh, there we go. Here's that, and here's this. Anyway, thank you so much. There you go. Thank you, Regina. You may, or you have your own microphone. You can sit. All right. I think before we put an order for you, do we want to?
Good job, Ryan.
Just, oh, thank you. Okay, do we just do them all and then we can say nice things?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. What's the next one? Hopefully they're.
The next one's Patricia Harrington. Is Pat, are you here? Not seeing her. Pat has 10 years.
Not here. I walked all the way over here. Okay, you can reach her. Yeah, that's true. All right, next.
Addison Randall has 10 years, and he's not here tonight. So we'll give that to the chief.
Okay,
And
Candace.
Candace Bernardi, our city treasurer, accountant. 20 years.
Oh, okay. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Patty Elhaj, 20 years.
I've been talking to you for 20 years. My goodness, I couldn't. Lord, I know. Come on this side this time. Okay. Congratulations. And Julian.
Julianne Shackelford. Not here? Okay. Those two.
Yeah, there you go.
You want a picture of the certificate? Yeah.
Open one up. William Shackelford. All right, there you go.
That was good.
I'll be on Facebook tomorrow. Yeah. Maybe I was drinking. All right. That's an insult. All right. Anyway. For those assembled and for those that are not here, thank you so much. The city doesn't run without all of you. We're up here, we got managers, we got directors, but without the rank and file doing the work every day, nothing would get done. And we appreciate it very much. I think it's great. Anyway, do anything?
No, I just really want to thank you. You know, your long service, it just helps bring stability to the city and consistency with our customers who come in and they're always dealing with the same people and they're happy with the great service. And I just really want to thank you all. You do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I will just say the same thing. It's wonderful, and we need all of our staff to run our city. You're what makes this happen, and we're very grateful to have you and for all the work that you do.
I think it's amazing. I was saying earlier, I don't think I've ever had a job for 10 years. So to have anybody have a job for 10 years to me is like, woo, how does that work? Anyway, is there anybody here that would like to say nice things about our employees before we move on?
Good evening. Yeah, just really quick. Regina is the best city clerk. Always just so helpful and calm. You know, if I've got an issue and she's like, okay, all right. So, and I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I think I used to pay my city water bill at Old City Hall to Patty. Anyway, excellent job.
Thank you, Mike.
Sue Rodman, resident of Placerville, and very proud of our little city. Every time I've gone anywhere in City Hall or had any interaction with any of our employees, they have always been wonderful. They smile, they're polite, they are helpful. And that's not always true in other places. So when anybody asks me, where are you from? And I can say, Placerville, best little city in the world.
Well said, Sue. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to comment? All righty. Well, thank you all very much for that, and congratulations. And once again, thank you all so much. Let's see here. Item number 4, closed session report. Ms. Abrahimi.
Thank you, Mayor Clarici. The council did meet in closed session today on 4 items. There was no public comments in advance of that. There's no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Okay. Adoption of our agenda. Does somebody want to? I'm making a request. We have 2 items. It's going to sound really self-serving, but the election of the mayor and vice mayor. I'm old, and I thought that we did this in January, and I'm supposed to have like a little state of the city, so I am requesting that this be moved to the next meeting, mostly because I love power, and I want to keep it just one. I want to hang on to it for as long as humanly possible. So anyway, if it's okay with everybody, actually the first part is true. I did not do the other thing. So if you'd all bear with me, we can do this in January. Okay? That's my request. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment on my pathetic request or the agenda? Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Now, bring it back here.
Okay, I will move that we adopt the agenda with the amendment of moving 12.1 and 12.2 to the first meeting in January.
All righty.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. Announcements, presentations to the public, brief comments by the city council. I will start over there.
Yeah, the parade was a blast. And I know I probably annoyed everybody with a little siren that was on the cart, but I had a good time with it. It's amazing with our Christmas parade on how big it gets every year. I think it gets a little longer every year. So, but it's very impressive to see everybody lining the streets. It kind of gives you an idea of how many people we really do have living here in the city limits that enjoy our community. So anyway, that was what I had.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I got a couple things. I'll echo that on the parade and the tree lighting. Kudos to staff for an amazing job of planning and coordination on that. Thank you to the PD chief, Ren, and your crew for keeping everybody safe on both of those events. You guys did a great job. Fire also, thank you. So that was awesome. Got lots of positive feedback from the community on both of those events. Did want to recognize real quick that Sunday was Pearl Harbor Day. So we'll just recognize the families and descendants of the 2,403 service members that lost their lives that day. So it was one of the most consequential days in our history, certainly. And then lastly, I just wanted to recognize that we are tremendously blessed to live in this city. Since this is the last meeting of the year, I just want to express my gratitude to the city manager, all the department heads, all the city staff and employees, our commission and committee members, all the volunteers, and of course my fellow council members, everybody that works together to make this city an unbelievably wonderful place to live. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. We really do appreciate you, and get that out there before the end of the year.
Great, thank you.
I also had a great time participating in the Christmas parade. It's so fun that we have that event in our community, and just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays.
Great.
Okay, I won't cover the parade and tree lighting as it's been covered, but I also helped with the Christmas trees on Highway 50, and just wanted to send out a few thank yous. Placerville Rotary cleaned up that whole area beforehand, and there's just so much work that goes into these events beforehand and behind the scenes. We had Robert Conrad, who started this event in 1971 there that day. It was pretty special. I believe he's 92 years old now. So just, really cool stuff, and wanted to thank Dolly Wager. This was her 25th year of running the trees with the Chamber of Commerce. Just a lot of effort, a lot of volunteerism, as well as everyone who goes out and decorates the trees. So a lot of good stuff this time of year. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The parade's great. When did it get done finally? When did Santa hit the bell tower? Did anybody happen to check a watch or a clock or anything?
It was about 335, 340.
Well, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. Okay, great. Thank you. I would like to, once again, great. Also, I'd like to mention the tree lighting, only because I want to, and I was there, and may or may not have been drinking, but we won't even go there. I wasn't, by the way, but there is a email. I would like to thank a bunch of people, and I actually brought part of it with me. Let's see. Of course, I won't go into all the people that gave us money and all that, and help with the tree and all that. I do want to some individuals though. Tony Wendell, TJ Bonkers. I didn't invite any of them here, so they may or may not hear. But I just want you to know, because these people and people like them are what get things done. There's a lot of people who like to talk, and then there's a lot of people that like to do. And the doers are what get things done, and the talkers just talk. Tony Wendell, Dennis Thomas, Amy Pooley, Alan Ming, Creekside, he's the guy from the New Merchants Group, and Michael Potter. They were part of a group that has been meeting, and Dennis, who's been meeting probably from the time of the last lighting through the year and got it all organized, and it really, really went well. From what I hear, it was good for the merchants. It was certainly good for the restaurants. Always little things to kind of iron out, but all in all, I was just so impressed. We had PD presence. I know I saw Sergeant Randall. I always just call him General now, General Tadlock. It sounds great. But there was another officer there, and I can't remember. Can you help me, Chief? Who's there?
Amber was there, Amber Robinson, and then
Yeah.
Officer Valadez, the new
Yep.
officer that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Officer 2-1.
Okay, great. I didn't write them all down, but thank you very much. And then we had staff there from the city, Todd, Luke, Guy, Garrett, Brian, and Tristan. And they were there from the time it started to the time it ended in one form or another. Without all that, nothing gets done. So once again, I just wanted to recognize them for the work they did to pull that off. And then there was this obnoxious man who kept talking, and they couldn't get him to stop. That was me. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for that. That's announcements and presentations to the public. Does anybody want to comment on our announcements and presentations to you? Okay, no. All right. We have a consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. The reading of the full text of all resolutions will be waived unless a council member requests otherwise. So do we have any otherwises? There are no otherwises up here. Do we have any public comment on our consent calendar? All righty. Let's bring it back up here for a motion.
I'll move that we approve our consent calendar.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, public comment, non-agenda items. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. State law prohibits the council from acting on items not listed on the agenda except by special action of the city council under specified terms. The mayor reserves the right to limit the speakers to 3 minutes, which I will, and be graceful and reasonable with your comments. Wow. The Grand Marshal is here.
I thought it was the Grand Marshmallow, but anyway.
Well, first, I have to open it up. Are there any
Oh, sorry.
comments? Here you go.
There I am. Okay. Well, the real reason I'm here is I wanted to thank the city for the 311 website. So I actually, you have to have a password or something, but I got into it, and they fixed the potholes in front of my house. It's a miracle. It took 2 or 3 times for them to come out. There were so many potholes, but so I'm very happy about that. So thank you for 311. And then since I have 2.5 minutes, I got to go. All right. Dennis, I was told that once a year I could ask for a report on hours and dollars, and I was told I have a choice of June 30th or December 31st. I'll choose June 30th. That'll help me more with my Firewise application. Thank you. And then, so I had a little blood draw today, and I was chatting with someone as you wait for your blood draw, and as a store owner, and there was a complaint given to me about the pedestrian work that's being done on Placerville Drive. Not yet, but what's coming to her store. So she won't be able to have her trucks unload on her property. And she said that they won't be able to unload in the middle of the street like they do at the co-op because it would be too dangerous. So there's apprehension. So however, whatever you can do to make it so that we can work, because I know from having heard Dave before, we need sales tax in the city of Placerville. So anything we can do to make it work so that the trucks can still unload where they've been unloading, even though we have this new project, if that's humanly possible. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I guess when you become the Grand Marshal, we fix potholes, because if that's the case, I want to be the Grand Marshal next year. So anyway, well, thank you very much, David.
You get it, I didn't get it.
No, it's okay. All righty.
Sue Rodman, City of Placerville. Not officially city, but just a resident. Good evening to City Council. I would like to thank our City Works crew, and I have been going up Pacific Street, and there's this huge trench and traffic control, and obviously it's our guys that are doing this, but they always smile. When I smile at them when they're doing their job in traffic control, they smile back. And it's a big trench, and so I asked Nick what it's about. We got another failed storm drain. So they're working on that. And that's wonderful to have, when we find something that's disaster, we fix it. And our city crews deserve a thank you for that. And the other thing is, I'd like to remind us that we're not in fire season right now, so now is a good time to get rid of those so-called fire gates that the fire trucks hate. And the guys who drive the fire trucks hate even more. So if we can get rid of those, now is the time to do it, when we're out of fire season. You don't want to wait till you've got a fire and you have to get there to try to remove a gate. So.
Thank you, Sue. All right.
Good evening again. I don't even think Cleve got a day off in his name. I'd like to hear more about the 311, just to over what it is. The paving on Placerville Drive in front of the brand new paving, fantastic. It is top notch. Tons of delays with weather and everything, but I do agree with the letter saying maybe next time we need some nighttime lighting. It was pretty hairy going through there at times with the lane shifts and such. Just a reminder that I believe the Main Street Tap House was supposed to come back yearly to council for review of the fees for the pole sign and the parking that they're leasing from the city for price adjustments. I don't know if there's enough staff for this, but an idea for the parade was towards the end, up on Schnell School, and the on-ramps and the off-ramps and the busy Apple Hill traffic also on top of it, because that was one of the few functioning intersections. The off-ramp was backing up onto 50 because people weren't letting people get off the off-ramp. It was getting to be a hazard, so I don't even know if you can put up a temporary all-way stop sign to keep traffic flowing, but that was a little hairy coming around that corner, and traffic stopped on 50. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you very much for those comments. Do we have any written communication?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the City Council received 2 emails, one regarding the tree lighting event and the other regarding construction on Placerville Drive. Copies have been provided to the public. They're on the back table.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. Excuse me, we had no items pulled from the consent calendar. So we have some ordinances. Woohoo! Consider amending Title IV, Chapter 1 of the Placerville Municipal Code to adopt the 2025 California Building Standards Code, Title 24, California Code of Regulations, and remove obsolete provisions. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor Clarici, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. Carol Kendrick, Director of Development Services, presenting item 10.1. Tonight, staff is asking you to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance that will, number one, adopt the new 2025 California Building Standards Code, which is Title 24 of the California Code of Regulations, and number two, clean up our Placerville Municipal Code by deleting obsolete provisions. State law, specifically the Health and Safety Code, Section 18941.5, requires every city and county to formally adopt the triannual update to the California Building Standards Code. The 2025 edition goes into effect statewide on January 1st, 2026, so this action keeps us in compliance. In addition to updating our adoption language to reference the 2025 codes, the ordinance does 3 housekeeping items. It permanently deletes Chapter 12 of Title IV, which contains the state-mandated expediting rules for small residential rooftop solar. Those state requirements sunset on December 31st, 2019, and the chapter has been obsolete for 6 years. It also removes the lingering references to chapters and sections that were previously repealed, and it eliminates redundant and outdated language to make the code clearer and easy to administer and enforce. Importantly, staff is not proposing any local amendments to the statewide codes. We are simply adopting all 12 parts of the 2025 Title 24 by reference, exactly as published by the state. This action supports our strategic plan under economic development strategy to promote regulatory reform by streamlining our code and removing unnecessary provisions. This required meeting had a public hearing notice published in the Mountain Democrat on November 12th, 2025, which was a 20-day advertisement, and the staff determined that this action is exempt from CEQA. There is no cost and no budget impact associated with tonight's action, and staff recommends that the City Council introduce and waive the first reading, which would position us for a second reading and adoption at your next meeting. This concludes my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and we also have our building official, Greg Horsfall, here as well.
All right, do we have any questions for staff? Seems fairly straightforward, but okay. Any public comment on this item? All righty, we're going to bring it back up here. What is the pleasure of this group?
I will move item 10.1.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Would you call the roll?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Don't get ahead of yourself there. Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Whew. Just happens so fast. It does. Title 10.2. Title 10. Zoning ordinance text amendments to address required 2021-2029 housing element implementation program B2 supportive housing and B8 residential care facilities, file ZC 2403. Once again, Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor Clarici and members of the council. Carol Kendrick, Development Services Director, presenting item 10.2. Tonight you have a straightforward item in front of you, text amendments to the Title 10 of the zoning code ordinance that will bring the city into full compliance with state law on supportive housing and residential care facilities, specifically Assembly Bill 2162 and our certified 2021 to 2029 housing element programs B2 and B8. In plain language, here's what the amendments do. Number one, they remove the 1,000-foot separation requirement for small, which is 6 or fewer residential care facilities, and supportive transitional housing. State law already treats this exactly the same as any other single-family home. Number two, in our multifamily zones, which would be R2 through R5, make small facilities by right, that means no conditional use permit, and allow larger supportive housing projects, which are 7 or more residents, as permitted uses instead of requiring a conditional use permit. Number 3, in our commercial and mixed-use zones, which is the BP, the CBD, the C, and the CC, and highway commercial zones, simply clarifying that residential uses including supportive housing are allowed above or below the ground floor. These are citywide ministerial changes with no physical impact on the environment, so this item is categorically exempt from CEQA under the common sense exemption. The Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing on July 2nd of 2024 and unanimously recommended approval. Staff did publish the required 20-day legal notice in the Mountain Democrat on November 19th of this year. So at this time, staff would recommend that the City Council introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance. And number 2, find the project exempt from CEQA. This will allow us to adopt the ordinance on the second reading at your next meeting and close out 2 of the remaining housing element programs before the end of the year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And again, this is a state mandated housekeeping item that will keep us in good standing with HCD. And just to note, we're already starting to have kickoff of cycle 7. So HCD is wanting timeframes from staff on any of the implementation programs that we haven't done. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot more of these programs come forward because they really want to get us into compliance on our cycle 6.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for staff? Oh, we do. Go right ahead.
I just had one quick clarification. So the, does AB 2162, is that, so removing the conditional use permit on the 7 or more people resident in the high-density residential, is that a requirement, or is that something that we can play with and still keep that conditional use permit requirement?
It is a requirement.
It is a requirement.
So let's see, this was adopted on March 21st of this year. And it does require that supportive housing to be a use by right in permitted zones where multifamily and mixed-use developments are permitted.
So that's just the high density R2 through R5. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Let's open up for public comment. Anybody wish to comment on our mandatory voluntary thing to do? I see you all see the wisdom of that. Okay, great. Let's bring it back up here for action.
I'll move 10.2.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. All right. All righty. Item 10.3. Consideration of adding a vacant parcel/building registration program. Ms. Kendrick.
Hi there. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Again, it's Carol Kendrick, the Director of Development Services, presenting item 10.3, which asks the council to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance establishing a vacant parcel and building registration program as a 12-month pilot program as directed by the City Council on October 28th, 2025. The purpose of the program is to maintain an accurate inventory of vacant properties within the city, identify responsible parties or their local agents, and ensure that these properties remain lawfully occupied or, if vacant, are adequately secured and maintained in a manner that protects the public health, safety, and neighborhood character. Key features of the proposed ordinance are as follows. Registration is required within 10 days after a property becomes vacant using a single one-page form. There is no registration fee and no fee for the required quarterly self-certification, fully consistent with the council's direction on the 28th of October regarding no fees. Owners would submit a brief quarterly self-certification confirming compliance with the basic security and maintenance standards, securing structures against unauthorized entry, removing trash, debris, and graffiti, trimming vegetation, and maintaining legible no trespassing signage. If the owner resides more than 50 miles from the city, designation of a local contact with the authority to act is required, and optional photographs may accompany the quarterly submission. Enforcement will be handled through existing code enforcement remedies. The chapter contains an automatic sunset provision that would expire on December 31st, 2026, unless the council affirmatively extends it. Staff will return no later than November 1st of 2026 with a comprehensive report on the participation, compliance rates, resource impacts, and recommendations for continuation, modification, or termination. This program is projected to require only the modest amount of additional staff time, estimated at 4 to 6 hours per month, which can be absorbed within the current departmental budget. Staff recommends the City Council introduce and waive the first reading of the ordinance as presented in Attachment A and direct implementation of the 12-month pilot program and schedule the required one-year report back. This measured, no-cost approach provides a proactive tool to address blight and safety concerns while honoring the council's earlier guidance. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and we also have our building official, Greg Horsfall, and our code enforcement official, Jay Roberts, here to answer questions, and thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Do we have questions or comments?
I think the only comment is the quarterly reporting. Is that a lot? Would it make sense to do it less? You know, it just seems, you know, if I owned a property and I had to report 4 times a year, it just seems like a lot, plus a lot of staff time to review it all.
I got a call. I got several calls about that, and we discussed it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I had a number of changes I would want to see to move forward with this. So one is I'd want to change the quarterly reporting to annual. I think quarterly, both from us reviewing paperwork and people filing it, like it's just going to be paperwork that seems cumbersome and nobody does. I don't want this to apply to single-family homes or residential properties, so I want it to be limited to commercial, industrial, and large undeveloped lots, so like greater than 2 acres. I'm open to a different number, but you know, a larger undeveloped parcel or a commercial industrial, not a house or a. I also wanted to see the local contact required made optional, not a requirement, so kind of remove that from the ordinance, but leave it on the form as an optional item. I don't think we should be telling property owners that they have to give authority to somebody who lives local to make decisions about their property. I'm thinking through if those were all the things that I was the most concerned about in this. Yeah, I think that's my list.
I would just add that vacant properties in neighborhoods are a concern for people who aren't maintaining them, particularly for fire-safe issues and whatnot. So I don't know how we would separate or not separate that, but they are issues that people do complain about them.
All right, I have some similar concerns and also a couple of additional ones. I guess I had a quick question first. So non-compliance with this would fall, what would be the steps for remedy if this were passed as it's currently structured? What are the steps for remedy if it goes, I'm assuming it would be a code case at that point for non-compliance. How would that work?
I'm going to ask Jay, our code enforcement official, to step up and kind of address how we're going to handle that.
Yeah, so it would just follow our typical code case process. I'd start with a notice to correct listing the violation, the code section, and provide a remedy to the property owner. If there's no response, then we just proceed with the code case procedure with the admin violation, recording a notice of noncompliance, and kind of go from there.
How many steps is there before financial penalties or before there's a fine?
There's the notice to correct, which gives them 10 days to either come up with the plan or abate the issue. And then after that, if it's not corrected or they don't provide me with a schedule, then it would proceed to recording the notice of noncompliance and then a $100 fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple of the other concerns, I wrote some stuff down here. Just, I was also concerned with the additional burden on staff, especially with the quarterly reporting. I would definitely like to see that reduced. I think that our code, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, many of these issues can be corrected with our current code, and I understand this does streamline enforcement, but it also puts a huge burden on property owners, building owners. I'm uncomfortable with that, especially understanding that the compliance is absentee or apathetic owners are the very ones causing the problems are the least likely to register or self-certify. So you're going to, kind of have a self-fulfilling prophecy of increasing your code cases, chasing after these people. And then, I also, the local contact, I'd like to see that removed or modified. I already mentioned the quarterly filings. It's definitely is going to be perceived by the property owners and the public as pretty anti-property rights, so we have to be, concerned with that. And then, the staff resources, was really concerned about that. I'd like to see possibly, or, for the sake of the conversation and for public comment, I'd like to see, if this is going to be mandatory, I'd like to see it be mandatory only for people that have a history of noncompliance and be not mandatory for the good actors that are already following the rules. I don't think we should be punishing people for the sins of others. And I have a couple other things, but that's the main points, just for the sake of the conversation. Is kind of where I'm sitting at.
Okay, everybody's covered just about everything that I've had. The only couple of questions I have, number one, is this going to be an online process?
We can certainly make it online.
Okay. That would be much simpler if this actually goes through. The other part is I did have a concern that the council still has the STR issue to go over and decide in some future event, and then at that point an STR now becomes a commercial business. So how would we be reporting out of that, since an STR is now also a residential at the same time? So if we're going to eliminate the residential, then where does the STR fall into that? And then would we be looking at them to, obviously report however we decide, quarterly, annually, biannually, on occupancy? So anyway, those are a couple of extra things to add in there.
I'd like to ask, what is the advantage of having this?
I think one of the big issues that we have is we don't have contacts to reach out to, and we do have some issues with some of the vacant buildings, and, where they're blighted. And
right.
So I think it's just trying to get that in a registry where we can keep an eye on it, and we've got contact information, and make sure that they understand what the regulations are when you have a vacant building, and what you're expected to do.
Okay. I don't know if this would be a huge burden on anybody. I mean, filling out a piece of paper is probably not exactly going to, be an arduous task. And I'm trying to think, if it's a pilot program, would we go well, I guess the other question is why the three or six or whatever month to do it? Why would you, is that just to pick up parcels as they come online, or, if they become vacant buildings?
Well, I think the longer they sit vacant, the longer there are potential issues.
Okay.
So it's kind of keeping them in check and saying, oh, yes, it's been vacant for 7 months, but here we're staying on top of it. Here's
Right.
photos, and here's the landscaping, and, it's not overgrown, things like that. So I think it's, it's the self-certification where they're just saying, you don't need to go out. Here, look, we're
Right.
doing what we should be doing, and
I'm kind of wondering if you ask people to do this, might they take better care of their property? I mean, there's a lot of out of the area owners, and they don't think about any of this stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think why we would want this. Now, I know that when I was on peak, we just wanted to have an inventory of vacant, commercial property, just to have it, just to know what they were. And there really wasn't a code issue as much as it was just for knowledge. And then I guess probably vacant parcels would be similar. You'd know what the vacant parcels are in town. Does it help with law enforcement?
It does, and I was going to add that, we get repeated calls to certain locations where we can't track down the owner to assist us in our efforts to abate the issue. A lot of it, is transient related. And it happens on vacant properties, it happens in buildings, and we can't track down who is responsible for that building. So what ends up happening is we get a hold of code enforcement, and they're doing their best to try to track down an owner, but that doesn't stop us from getting calls every day at these locations over and over again, and that's the true burden that we're facing at the point.
Right. Yeah, because I guess the idea is that asking the question is not, I don't think that asking the question is particularly burdensome on anybody, and I think it's fine. And then, if you start to sort of put together a registry and you kind of know because what ends up happening is, if you say, I honor property rights and I'm not going to ever do this, then you're paying, the good property owners are paying, and we all pay for the folks, well, like before it got all revived, the grocery outlet mall up there. That guy didn't give two you-know-whats about anything. Now, we knew who he was. We could actually talk to him, and he still didn't care. But, to me, I think it's worth a pilot program to organize the information. And then if we find out this is too much or that's not enough or we're not getting what we want, which is kind of what we want, we're only proposing to do this for a year. Staff has said that they think they can fit it in, although staff time is a concern. I think would 6 months be adequate for doing this every 6 months, or do you even care? I mean, it seems to me like if we passed it, we'd want to say within 60 days, pick a number. We want this information. And then after that, how many times do they need to renew it? What do we do? I personally don't think it's a big deal, but other folks do, and I respect that. So,
well, just to in looking at the timelines, so there could be the initial inspection, and then if we only wanted to do one self-certification, is potentially require it in 10 months, so that we have the data that we needed to present you with.
Right.
Present you with that in November to determine if you really want to keep this program going or we want to look at modifying it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So what's your process? I mean, if you put this up and you notify everybody that you do have contact information for, but if you don't have contact information for that property, what's the process of trying to figure out who they are so you can contact them to tell them that they need to go online and register?
Jay?
I know how I find property owners because I kind of do it for a living. So
Sure.
How do you guys do it?
Yeah, well, and I worked at the county before I came here, and we often would look up grant deeds through the recorder clerk's office. Sometimes there's alternate mailing addresses, especially if they're updated or if they, update a trust. So that's been a really helpful tool. I got all of our staff on the second floor in City Hall access to that, their own accounts, so we can all do our own research. And I use it every day. It's very helpful. So that's one of our tools.
Yeah, so you're tracking everything basically by APN numbers or street address or tax bill contact information.
Well, and something we could consider maybe if before you guys approve or not is maybe starting like with a courtesy notice instead of going straight to a notice to correct. Well,
I think we're going to.
We can't get contact from to see if we get a response.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know what I would like to see with this is, I mean, obviously we have a bunch of suggestions up here, so there's probably going to be a little bit of modification before this gets approved. But at the same time, I mean, we need to definitely do a courtesy notice to everybody that has this. Also make it as easy as possible for them to not be inconvenienced to do it. So the online, I think, would be the biggest help.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Well, we'll definitely have the application available online.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, my only thing is, whenever we talk about rights, we also need to talk about responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does beg the question about the size of the parcel now, because you do bring up a good point. I mean, you get vacant lots next door, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to not having a size restriction on the vacant lots. My big issue was the single-family home.
yeah. And I'm not sure how much of a hassle they are, although they can be a hassle. But I'm assuming most of the calls are to vacant, commercial, and sort of things. Or am I wrong? You may disabuse me of my knowledge.
It's a mixture. There also vacant lots as well. They're setting up,
Okay.
and it helps us. This information will also help us work closely with the property owner on things like the trespass letters.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like that, so we can act as an agent on their behalf to
Yeah.
ensure these things
Yeah.
are not occurring.
Cool. All right. Any other thoughts up here? Okay, before I open it up to the public, do you have direction?
We would give the direction after public.
Well, I understand that, but I asked the question first to see, because we might want to add something. Okay. You're nodding. Okay, whatever. All right, public comment on this item.
Sue Rosman, resident of Placerville. I think this is a much-needed ordinance. Jackie brought out the point of there's rights and there's responsibilities, and this is part of responsibilities. And this is part of keeping our city from becoming a slum. It's very easy for vacant buildings to deteriorate and vacant houses to deteriorate. And if nobody ever takes charge of this and says, hey, owner, you have some responsibilities. If you're going to own this property, you have some rights, but you also have some responsibilities to your neighbors, responsibilities to the community. And this sets it up so that if you're going to be a vacant property owner, then you have some responsibilities to adhere to make sure that your vacant property is not a fire hazard, is not a place for the homeless to gather and make a mess, or a fire hazard. And I think we need this. I think there's enough things happening in the city of Placerville that this is something we need in order to keep our city as good as it is. We don't want it to deteriorate. Well, one of the fastest ways to deteriorate a city is to have vacant properties that aren't taken care of.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else wish to comment?
Good evening. Mickey Kaiserman, resident of Placerville tonight. Hello, Mayor Clarici, city council members and staff. I think this is important, but how do we get the initial one from those people? Are we notifying people that you have to fill this out? But how are they going to find out in this 1 year time frame that you have to fill this out? That's my first question. And I think the 4 times a year is just a burden for anybody. And this ordinance should be given to probably the title companies to let new owners know that there's this ordinance in case a building goes vacant. I think as a member of Peak, I'll say we looked at this issue many times, where are the vacant buildings, so if people wanted to come in and buy a building, they could see where they were. That would be a great list to have. And I mean, we have ordinances on clearing land and keeping everything else up, but I mean, unless people are reporting where they see this, I don't see how we get the initial one into the pipeline. Thanks.
Thank you, Maggie.
Good evening. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong that we don't already have the tools in place to do everything that's suggested here. We already have, you can file a public nuisance. My question is the city banned from filing a public nuisance against private property? So why reinvent the wheel? You already have ordinances on clearing for fire safety, trash, all that. The city has the authority to send the letters. If nothing is done, the city does the work, they lien the property. So you have all that covered already. I don't understand why. And the whole thing of we can't find the property owner I don't understand that. Is the city banned from going to the tax collector and asking for the property owner of record? And the city's water and sewer bill database. Anyway, if it's just some bad apples, I don't see why you can't just start cracking down with the tools you have now. I don't like laws piled upon laws upon laws. Why reinvent the wheel? Even though it would help me, because there's an abandoned house in my neighborhood for 15 years. City's done nothing after multiple requests. Just enforce what you have. If you do, I think the quarterly reports is highly excessive, and the 10-day to submit, and what is going to be the initial cost to let every property owner know that this exists. I mean, I think legally you can just put a notice in the Mountain Democrat and you're covered because of the city size. That's kind of rude, though. Yes, the first notice should be a courtesy. You should, if you're going to reduce the reports 1 or 2 a year, it should come in order of like just before fire season. You want to make sure those properties are, fairly safe. Out of area owners, yes, should be able to maintain themselves. I'm concerned that this pilot program will lead to fees eventually to cover the costs, because there's so much paperwork here that you might have to hire a new staff member, and down the road it just becomes more government. And maybe you just need to flesh out the definitions of a public nuisance, and that would help you put more teeth in what you already have. The fire danger, the trash, the homeless, whatever. If it's just improving the definitions to help what you have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Okay, let's bring it back up here. I hear what you're saying, Mike, about the already existing laws. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this effort, if it were to work, because the other thing, other towns have these things too. It's not like we're inventing something here. This is not something that, I'm sure you go up and down, even communities around us that actually have these programs in place. I think the challenge is that the existing circumstances, things have to get pretty bad before you start doing an enforcement. And I'm assuming that this is a way to maybe get in front of that. I'm assuming. Okay, I got a head nod. All right. And so you get ahead of it. You're not waiting for the thing to get awful before you do that. So I think there's a little bit of trying to be more proactive, less reactive. At least that's my thought. Okay. Any other comments or questions? What direction would we like to give our staff now?
I guess I'm on since we do have a number of requests here of provide direction of the changes we want and have it brought back, because I think our changes are too substantial in my mind to try to do it via a modification of a first reading.
No, I would not suggest that.
If we're just providing direction to staff, do we need an actual motion here, or? No. Okay.
Direct staff.
So
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
We have see her brow is knitted in for
I would say continue the item.
Okay.
A date certain, so we don't have to re-advertise.
Okay.
Yes, if we
Okay.
continue, then we don't have to do another public
Okay.
hearing notice.
Okay, that's official.
So I guess I would summarize from the discussion, and you guys can correct me, of the changes that were discussed. One is remove the single family and housing, but leave vacant, make this apply to any and all vacant lots and any and all commercial industrial properties. The second is change the quarterly reporting for this pilot program to be the initial report and then one report 10 months later. That's what I heard is the timeline that would work for a 1-year program. 9 months later?
Or if we just say maybe by October 15th, so then.
Okay, by October 15th, I like a date certain. That makes it easier. Because then anybody who comes into the program throughout the year, because they would still have to do that.
Right in the middle of fire season.
Yeah, and you're right in the middle of fire season, which addresses the other concern there. So, great. Sorry, I'm trying here. Remove the local contact required from the ordinance. However, leave it on the form as an optional, Because if people would like to provide that, we would certainly like it. So I would like it on the form, but we don't want to make it a requirement. Make sure that the form is available for people to fill out online. Anybody else that I missed? Did I miss anything?
I think I was the only one that brought this up, but I'll bring it up one more time about the concept of making this mandatory only for people that have issues and not for people that have never had a code compliance on their property. You know, make it a consequence of code is now you have to mandatorily register your property in perpetuity. But if you've never had an issue before, why are we mandating this for people that are good actors? Just a thought, put it out there, see if anybody else is interested in doing something in that direction.
I think for me, since this is a 1-month pilot, I guess I would kind of like to let it apply to everyone and see how that works. And that'll also help us with identifying, like we will then potentially identify who those bad actors are in a better way than we have in the past, that then like going forward, potentially we do something different beyond the 12-month pilot program. Does that make sense? Or?
And I guarantee you I have had, not too many, but I've had a couple conversations with property owners here in town who believe that they are the gold standard of property owners, and I know for a fact that they are not. So, I mean, you're right. The majority of property owners in town actually take fairly good care. They're in good and fairly good care. But I tell you, I was listening on the phone going, yeah, I don't think so. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, so I'm kind of seeing that you guys are really targeting just giving yourselves the opportunity to be proactive once everybody registers, correct? Okay. So that way, when something comes up, you guys, however many times a year you want to do it, you can go, hey, these are all the vacant places. Let's go take a quick look. If there's issues, we can take care of it before somebody has to report, and then it's an issue and you really got to deal with a bunch of things. Right?
Yes, we would
Okay.
love to be more proactive and reduce the complaints.
So we need a motion to move this to a date certain,
To January 13th.
January 13th council meeting. So I kind of made the motion.
I will make a motion that we continue this item to our January 13th council meeting.
Very good. Then you can deal with it.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. All righty. Next. All right. 12.4. Consider approving a new building services fees and what? Oh, I'm sorry. 12.3. Sorry. Oh, I can't skip the engineer. Consider ratifying an agreement for consulting services with Webster Engineering, Inc., ratifying task order number 1 with Webster Engineering, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $20,000, and approve task order number 2 in an amount not to exceed $168,235, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same for the broadband fiber optics Phase 1 project. Ms. Savage.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. The item before you this evening proposes to ratify an agreement and task order and approve another task order with Webster Engineering to continue providing construction inspection services for the broadband construction. On April 8th, 2025, the City Council approved work order number 1 with Entry Point for design, build, engineering, and construction services. Following the approval of the work order, Entry Point's consultants and contractors began preparing the design plans and encroachment permit packages for construction. In 2025, the engineering department was already planning for 5 other capital improvement program projects to be under construction during the summer. During the same time, the engineering department was inundated with a significant number of encroachment permit applications from PG&E, all of which require review and inspection from the engineering department staff. Due to these workload constraints, staff made the decision to contract out the engineering department work associated with the city's broadband project. Staff requested proposals from 2 engineering firms, and Webster Engineering was determined to be the most qualified consultant. On July 29th, staff administratively executed an agreement for consulting services with Webster Engineering to provide as-needed construction oversight, office engineering, and construction inspection services. On August 4th, task order number 1 was administratively executed, authorizing Webster Engineering Services associated with the first segment of broadband construction on Placerville Drive, which was through the limits of the Placerville Drive pedestrian connectivity project. It was critical that the broadband infrastructure was placed in the ground before the new sidewalk and paving was installed. Tonight, staff is recommending approval of task order 2 with Webster Engineering in amount not to exceed $168,235 for construction inspection services for all remaining segments of the project. It's a citywide project, so it's pretty big. The scope of the work includes plan review for encroachment permit applications, construction inspection within the city's right-of-way, weekly project meeting coordination meetings, and also office engineer services, including project documentation and research. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for staff on this? All right. Would the public like to comment on this item? Seeing no comment, we'll bring it back up here for the pleasure of the council.
I'll move staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. Now I go to 12.4. Consider approving new building services fees and water meter installation fee effective January 9th, 2026. Ms. Kendrick.
Hi there. I got a break for a minute. Good evening, Mayor Clarici and members of the City Council. Carol Kendrick, Director of Development Services, presenting this item on behalf of the Development Services Department, which is for the consideration of new building service fees and an updated water meter installation fee effective February 9th, 2026. As outlined in the staff report prepared by our building official, our current building fees were last comprehensively updated in 2028 via Resolution 7625. Since then, they've remained largely unchanged due to economic challenges and staffing constraints. However, the rising cost of personnel, equipment, and compliance with the California Code of Regulations have created a gap, leading to inconsistent cost recovery and inequities among permit applicants. To address this, staff conducted a thorough fee study using 4 years of permit data, detailed time studies, our current salary schedule, and overhead expenses. The study showed that many permit types were subsidizing others with fees varying widely, even for similar projects. Our goal is full cost recovery while ensuring equity, transparency, and alignment with our strategic plan for fiscal stability by increasing revenues. Key changes in the proposed fees are detailed in Attachment B of your staff report. For minor permits like photovoltaic solar, re-roof water heaters, HVAC changes, electrical panels, plumbing features, windows and sidings, we're shifting to simplified flat rate fees. This includes a $132 processing fee and minimum $137 plan review fee, and a building permit fee of 181 building permit fee for minors. This eliminates inconsistencies where identical projects pay different amounts, streamlines administration, and improves predictability for applicants and staff. For major projects such as new homes, additions, ADUs, commercial buildings, or covered decks, we retain a tiered building permit fee based on the valuation table that's in Attachment A of your packet. The valuation is objective. For projects adding square footage, we multiply the added area by the square footage construction cost from the latest ICC building valuation data table that's in Attachment C. And it's an industry standard that ensures comparable projects pay comparable fees regardless of bids. Plan reviews for majors is 50% of the building permit fee. Manufactured dwelling units get 75% of the standard fee, and tract developments 25% of the plan review fee. We are also covering the water meter installation from time and materials to a flat fee of $1,075 based on average cost over the last 2 fiscal years to simplify billing. A regional survey was conducted, and it's an attachment D of your packet, and it confirms our proposals are competitive and often lower than our neighbors like Auburn, Folsom, and El Dorado County, while supporting affordability for smaller projects and economic development. In summary, these updates close the cost recovery gap, promote equity, reduce administrative burdens, and comply with state regulations. We recommend holding the public hearing and adopting the resolution in attachment A to implement these changes. I am happy to answer any questions, as well as our building official, Greg Horsfall, and that concludes my presentation.
All right, do we have any questions for staff?
We just have one. We have a processing fee, a plan review fee, a permit fee. And one of the complaints I hear from people is they think they paid one fee and then they're upset when they find out there's other fees they have to pay. Is there any way we can roll it all into one, or, make it mandatory they pay it all at once? Because, like I said, that's the complaint I hear from people most often, is they feel like they're being nickeled and dimed, and I already paid my fee, now I have this other fee, and, they really probably just don't understand all the fees up front, but some way we can maybe just be proactive about that part.
The building official and I have talked about rolling into one fee. I know that in my past life, you have typically a plan check fee, and then you have a permit issuance, because sometimes you don't get to permit issuance. You don't get through plan check, so I think it's kind of a way to reduce issues in the long run. But we're happy to look at any kind of recommendations that you might have.
And just to add to that, from a nexus perspective, the city can only charge its actual fees for respect to this. So we need to be careful. Education is fine. We can say what the total amount is going to be and when they can anticipate paying each one of them, but we can't collect in advance something that may or may not ever be necessary up front.
Okay, then it really sounds just like an education, the reiteration, and make sure it's in their paperwork, these are all the fees, because I don't like getting yelled at about those things.
We're also looking into doing educational information handouts, like, if you want to start a business, this is the process that you need to go through, but also with building permits. So staff is looking at that and looking at potential videos on helping walk people through the process. So we are looking at that. So
Great.
We can definitely move that up on the list.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, any other?
I just have a quick one. So just for comparison, so if I was to walk in for a water heater at my house right now, if I'm doing the math correctly, it's about $318 currently, and then if I'm doing math correctly, and then after we pass this, if it passes, that's going to go up to $450. As much as I hate the word, it's in the staff report, so I'll talk about it. But equity, it feels like we're kind of disproportionately burdening single-family homeowners, which are, in our city especially, tend to be elderly or lower income. And so, it'd be nice if we could shift cost recovery to bigger projects that are more, they can more easily handle that. But once again, that runs into that issue of nexus, and so that's why I'm bringing this up. But check me on my numbers on the first part, and then I'd love to get an opinion on how we can maybe shift this burden more to larger projects and not so much onto small families and homeowners.
I'll let Greg speak to the current and the proposed fee, but one of the things that has come up is it still requires the same amount of time to do a water heater as it does to do other types of permits, so it's still the same level of service, but I can let Greg elaborate on that if he'd like.
Good evening, Council. We chose to move to a flat rate fee equity amongst the contractors, not necessarily the property owners, because the property owners would be subsequent in that regard. If we based our fee off of valuation, like the county would, then the re-roofers are subsidizing the HVAC contractors and water heater contractors, and they're receiving the same amount of service. So it was strategic in that regard. The total for the water heater would be $313. If it required a plan check, there would be a flat rate fee of $137 to equal the $450. And I do have some rough numbers for you just off the top. 60% of our permits are going to be the building permit minors. right out the gate, 60% of that. 18% are going to be building permit minors that are going to receive a plan review of $137, so it'd be a flat rate of $450, regardless of the valuation. And it just didn't feel right charging a residential property owner $450 for their re-roof and giving away a permit for a water heater at the same time. And other folks that are coming in for a sewer repair job, they're paying $106 and the roofer's paying $350 and they're still receiving the same amount of service. I would encourage everybody who has questions about this fee structure to take a look around and look at what other jurisdictions are doing. I do it just for basic research, but I wouldn't ever let it drive our decisions here because Placerville is unique and we need to behave like it. So.
And thank you for that explanation. And I did look at that, at our fee survey and saw that we're still staying very competitive compared to our neighbors. So did I hear correct? So not every single minor permit is going to be charged that 132, or is it going to be every permit gets the 132 automatically?
The processing fee would be charged at every permit, but not every permit would receive a plan review fee.
Understood. Okay. Thank you for clarification. Thank you, Greg.
While I'm here, I did want to give you some additional information here. I think John might like this. For a building permit minor of a valuation of $25,000, we're moving to a flat rate. We would be 9% less than the county. For building permit minors with a plan review, we're going to be negative 27% with a $45,000 valuation. These are industry standards based on the scopes of work. This one would receive a plan review. That's why it's 45 instead of the 25. For building permits that are going to be based off of valuations, such as a tenant improvement or a renovation or remodel, if they're not adding additional square footage, it's going to exceed one review or one inspection. We're going to base a permit off of the valuation. We are competitive with the county. And for single-family dwellings here, we chose not to add in a regional cost modifier to ICC's building valuation data. Yeah, it does cost more. I guarantee it costs more than $169 a square foot to build a house. Since I've been in the industry in 2007, I've never seen that. So we're still choosing to not add the regional cost modifier because we don't see that we're going to be providing that much service on those single-family dwellings there. So that's why we chose not to have those bigger projects subsidize the smaller ones.
And just from a legal perspective again, so the only basis for the calculation that we can really do legally is the amount of staff time, how much it costs them, and the processing, and then we charge that amount to the applicant. There is a way that we can have residential, single-family residential pay less than everybody else, but it's not having bigger contractors subsidize, it's the general fund would subsidize. And some cities elect to do that, but that's the only way that we could do it, because you can always have an applicant pay less than the rough proportional cost, but they can't pay more than that, so.
Hey.
Another side note is we're also not choosing to add any additional technology fees as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Anyone else wish to comment on this item? All righty. Wait, did I actually ask for public comment?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Would anybody like to provide public comment on this item? All right, we will be bringing it back here. What is the pleasure of this body?
I will move the item to approve staff's recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gopperg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye, thank you. 12.5. Consider approving increases, boy, are we getting after it tonight. Consider approving increases to adult sports league fees effective February 9th, 2026. Mr. Nishihara, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight before you is our annual standard increase in regards to our adult leagues. before you tonight, outlined in the staff report, focuses primarily on 3-on-3 basketball, which hasn't been adjusted in a few years, and then 2 options in regards to adult softball, 1 option for a 7-game season and another option for a 9-game season. I do want to highlight a couple of minor errors in regards to my staff report on page 2, and that was my fault. It's actually in approximately 68 teams, and so we had about 32 to 34 teams per season throughout the year. That was indicated on page 2. And then on page 3, there was a mathematical error where it indicated that the price this year would be around 7. That actually should be a 6, so it should be a 6 instead of a 7 in that report. It's $640 versus the $708. With that said, all of these inflators in regards to our total cost is primarily in regards to the direct cost for the league. Unfortunately, the cost is what the cost is. We need to pay the umpires, we need to pay our scorekeepers. We do have tentatively scheduled on our agenda for Monday evening to meet with some of the softball teams and some of the softball players to discuss the type of league schedule that we want to be able to uphold. And I'm available for questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any questions about fees, adult sports?
I have a question, I have a comment. I know we run tournaments out there, and we don't cover our costs, to my knowledge, for those tournaments. And so when I was looking at the report and I'm looking at the conditions of the fields, you know, reviewing, it's a privilege to be able to have a tournament out there, and reviewing those costs at the very least to make sure we cover our costs for tournaments. And then, you know, I don't know if we can build in, you know, field improvements that everyone's asking for. That is perhaps a way we can maybe work on that problem.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, none. Would the public like to comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it back up here. What is the pleasure of the body?
I will move item 12.5.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. 12.6, consider approving a .22 FTE temporary part-time city planner position and approving a budget appropriation in the amount of $23,432 from the 1993, we're digging deep into the vault, folks, 1993 STBG 690 fund to pay for the said position through June 30th, 2026. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Carol Kendrick, Director of Development Services. Presenting item 12.6 tonight, which asks the City Council to approve the part-time employee at a 0.22% and appropriate $23,432 from the 1993 STBG 690 fund to cover the cost through June 30th of 2026. As you'll recall, last spring, we eliminated funding for the associate planner position to help close a structural deficit in the general fund. That saved approximately $166,000 this fiscal year, but has left the department without the capacity to handle required advanced planning project work while still managing day-to-day development review, counter service, and code enforcement. Since July 1st, several non-discretionary mandates have come due or intensified. For example, in August, the OPR, which is the Office of Planning and Research, issued a formal notice of noncompliance with the recent safety element legislation regarding Senate Bill 379, Senate Bill 1035, and Assembly Bill 2140. We're currently working on that. It's in its second it's been reviewed twice by the Department of Forestry, and we do have staff working on those comments, so you'll be seeing that sometime in the first quarter of 2026. HCD is now strictly enforcing substantial progress on the sixth cycle housing element, rezoning programs, and failure to demonstrate progress would jeopardize LEAP, REAP 2.0, and SB2 grant eligibility. And like I said, is that we had some housing element implementation on the agenda earlier tonight. And then new laws new 2025 laws, Senate Bill 478 and Assembly Bill 529 and others, have imposed additional objective design standards and zoning reform deadlines that will not fully know that we did not fully know when we adopted the budget. After evaluating consultant options and finding none available in a time or at a competitive rate, we identified Mr. Cahill, AICP, and a CalPERS retired annuitant with more than 22 years of senior level California planning experience. Mr. Cahill is available to work on an average of 2 days per week, which would be 16 hours from mid-December through the end of the fiscal year. His focus scope includes completing the remaining 6-cycle housing element rezoning and the 2025 annual progress report that's due on April 1st, updating the general plan safety element for the climate adaptation, wildfire, flood, and geologic hazards, and advancing objective design standards, 7th cycle background studies, and required Senate Bill 910 and ADU zoning amendments. The total cost for the position is $31,829, but approximately $12,435 have already been covered by salary savings from earlier this year from the departure of our code enforcement official. So the new appropriation requested is $2,343 from Fund 241. This is purely administrative and a budgetary action. It's exempt from CEQA, and it directly supports the Strategic Plan Strategy 5, maintaining and updating our planning documents. Staff recommends approval of the attached resolution, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions on this item? No. Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
So Rodman, I used to be a planner for the Forest Service. And you really need somebody in that position to get all these things done to keep us in compliance. Because if we're out of compliance, the state can come down with some pretty heavy problems for us. So I would say we are really lucky to find somebody who's a retired annuitant with this kind of experience, who's willing to come work a couple of days a week. Fantastic. Go for it.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else?
Yeah, I definitely support bringing in skilled staff. Mr. Cahill, he's great. So I support the whole process, and I always knew the city was holding out hidden money. 1993, pre-digital, I think. What did you find? A letter saying you have cash. Funny. STBG. All right. I was going through retired annuitant rehire law, and I'm just wondering who's keeping eyes on that, because there was a line I read where you can rehire the public annuitant, but it has to be for a position that's being advertised. Right. And so if it's a closed position, that should probably be advertised. I'm not a lawyer, so it was just something that piqued my interest. So anyway, I support it, and that department is as important as other departments, and it's important that they have the people they need to get that job done. So okay. We all know it just takes money.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Well, yeah, I wonder if there's a Fund 691 out there. And not being a lawyer has never stopped anybody from dispensing legal advice from that podium, trust me. Okay, any other comments from the public? Great, there are none. Let's bring it back. Comments, motions, what?
I think this is a great idea. Thank you for finding an option that works within the budget, and I will move staff's recommendation.
Great.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. Consider increasing the youth NFL flag football early bird player registration fee by $2 from $187 to $189 per player, effective February 9, 2026, and increasing the youth NFL flag football post-early bird player registration fee by $2 from $197 to $199 per player effective February 9th, 2026. Wouldn't it just be the football fee and not the post? Never mind. I'm sorry. It's late. Mr. Nishihara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Before you tonight is a pre-registration fee and a registration fee. So we want to be able to get as many individuals in early and provide them a nice elasticity to entry, right? So we want to provide a high-quality service for a bottom price, right? It's late. I apologize. Anyway, you got me all verklempt. So with that said, due to the state minimum wage increase this January 2026 by 40%, the increases here are for our staff. I do want to highlight the fact that we do serve over 200 participants with a plethora and large amount of volunteers that we could not serve these young people and these families without our community volunteering and being able to commit to provide these services. So with that said, thank you for the opportunity. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions for staff? I don't see any questions. Do we have any comments from the public? I mean, you'd think the NFL could just cover all of this, but maybe not. Okay, we'll bring it back up here. Motion.
I'll move staff recommendation for 12.7.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Mayor Clarici?
Aye. Thank you. All right. Council reports from other agency meetings. El Dorado County Transit Authority.
We had a really busy meeting. We had no action items, one informational item. We got updated on the unfunded liabilities for pension and other post-employment benefits. And that was pretty much about it. Oh, they did announce that the new bus wrap winner, and they will be doing a presentation here shortly when they get to the school and tell the person at the school that they won.
Yeah, very cool.
That was it.
All right. El Dorado County Transportation Commission.
We held a public hearing for public transportation and adopted the 2026 goals and objectives.
Cool. Thank you. LAFCO?
We did not meet. Next meeting is in January.
SACOG, we meet next week. Pioneer Community Energy.
We did some quarterly financials and a legislative update, nothing of real interest to the city.
Okay. Placerville Fire Safe Council.
We did meet. We talked about the free assessment process quite a bit and some of the changes that are coming up in laws related to properties and things like that. So you would like to get a free fire assessment of your home. It's great. They come out, they look at like what your house looks like and where you're compliant and how to fix things and not. Just contact the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council and then they'll direct you to the right local chapter. So if you're in the Placerville, they'll send you to our Placerville folks.
Cool. Well, thank you. Opportunity Knox.
We did not meet. Our next meeting is on the 15th. However, they did send out a request. They're looking for volunteers to assist with the 2026 PIT count, which is our point-in-time homeless count. That's going to be on the morning of January 29th. If anybody's interested in volunteering or learning more, you can go to eldorado.pointintime.info for information.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Does anybody want to comment on the meetings we go to? All right, no. Any requests for future agenda items?
I have one. I believe when we decided how we were going to do special events, we were going to do a one-year review. So just maybe in February, could we have a one-year review on how those went? I had some merchants who had some input, and it seems like that would be a place maybe to start with that conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. No? Okay, great. City manager and staff reports. Do you have anything to announce or comment? Or
No, sir.
Okay, great. We do have 15.1, acknowledge and file the HDL sales tax and economic reports for the quarter ended June 30, 2025. Ms. Tornencasa. Oh, this is like the first. Not a lot of pressure here.
Don't do that.
Good evening, Mayor Clerici and council members. Natalie Tornicasa, Interim Director of Finance, presenting 15.1, which is to acknowledge and file the HDL sales tax and economic reports for the quarter ending June 30th, 2025. The reason we're doing this for the strategic plan of fiscal stability, one, to identify financial risks and opportunities, as well as meet financial commitments and reporting requirements. So some quick background: for the past 34 years, the city of Placerville has contracted HDL to perform periodic sales tax audits on merchants to ensure correct amounts of sales tax are being reported. And as part of their service, they provide quarterly reports and analysis. Tonight, I will be highlighting the quarter ending June 30th, 2025, as well as going over the sales tax outlook for the current fiscal year, 25-26, as well as 26-27. So when we look at Bradley Burns sales tax, the first couple pages really go over Q2 24-25 versus the previous quarter, 23-24 of that year. Overall, it's good news. Cash basis was up 59,361, or 3.9% increase, whereas the adjusted for economic data up 15,851, or 1%. When you look at the year-over-year Q2 quarterly increase, so from 23-24 to 24-25, it was primarily an increase with the state and county pools, which we were just continuing to see strong online sales with strong consumer demand, as well as autos and transportation and business and industry. And then when you compare the city of Placerville versus El Dorado County and the state, Placerville was up 1%, as well as El Dorado County, and the state is up 0.5%. So that's really just looking at Q2 year over year, which was April through June. We also have 3 add-on sales tax, so there's additional handouts for those, which are Measure H, J, and L, and those sales tax perform better in the second quarter, with overall the cash basis up 3% and the adjusted economic up 5%. So if we're just going to highlight one of them, Measure J, which is a quarter add-on tax, cash basis 3.3%, which was 11,666, and adjusted for economic data 5%, which was 17,527. As for our top 25 producers, this quarter it was very similar to the last quarter, but Safelite Auto Glass was added and Shell was removed. So that went over Q2, but I think it's really important to look at a year over year as well as the outlook for the upcoming years. So when we look at, and so there's handouts for this as well, when you look at year over year comparison of 23-24 versus 24-25, looking at Bradley Burns, which is our 1% sales tax, unfortunately it is down. Cash basis went from, in 23-24, 6,313,919 to 6,212,000, which is overall down 101,000, which is 1.6%. If you look at it as economic data, it was down 61,371, which is 1%. And so I think it's really important to, so we were down year over year, but what did we budget for? Our budget assumptions for 24-25, we were actually forecasting an increase year over year, so we budgeted for 6,475,817. What does that mean? When we look at adjusted for economic data, there was a decrease of 269,530, or 4.2%, from what was budgeted for the 24-25. There is a lot of positive information here. So for the last 2 quarters, January through June of 2025, sales tax posted mild increases, and more good news, HDL continues to forecast sales tax revenue to modestly increase for 25-26 at 1.2%. But I have to note that when this report was presented back in August, the June 2025 forecast had 25-26 at a 1.8% increase, whereas now they've downgraded that forecast to a 1.2%. So even though it looks like we'll see a modest increase in 25-26, it was decreased from the previous forecast. Why that decrease they're forecasting for 25-26 came down to autos and transportation. That went from a 1.4% forecasted increase to a 0.4%. That's just due to recent signs of weakness in labor market and due to elevated vehicle prices and restrictive finance conditions. The other big driver for the forecast change was building and construction, which went from a forecast for 25-26 from 0.4 to a negative 1.5. What they're seeing is new development is slowing. They're still faced with high material costs and ongoing economic uncertainty. So that's really just kind of saying, so 24, 25 underperformed, but we are looking at the last 2 quarters have been strong. They're going to steadily increase. We are still looking for a positive increase for 25, 26 at a 1.2%. And what's being forecasted for 26, 27 is kind of exciting at a 2.7%. So I think it's really important, though, to note that even with the steady increases for 25, 26 and 26, 27, that will just simply recapture the statewide sales tax from the decreases from the prior 2 fiscal years. So we're just kind of leveling out. Good news, though, our adopted budget for this fiscal year of 25-26 had us forecasted at $6,249,799. And if HDL sales tax forecast of a 1.2% increase this year, we will be on target to hit our adopted budget numbers. So I know that's a lot of numbers, but I wanted to go over the quarter over quarter, but also the year over year, and then the outlook for the upcoming 2 years, this year and next year.
Well, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on that? Very, very good.
Great job.
Very good. Yeah, give her a hand.
Set the bar high.
I know, yeah. No slouching after this. Anyway, is any comments on that? Any comments from the public on that? All right, we do not have any comments on that. The upcoming items you can read before I adjourn us. We will not be meeting again till next year. So, as I always like to say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. If you do the solstice thing, don't burn yourself on the fire. And Festivus for the rest of us. Just go out and have a great holiday, safe. Be with your families. Enjoy life. Things are good here in the beautiful city of Placerville. And thank you all very much for being who and what you are. So now, we will adjourn to January 13th, 2 days before my birthday. Not saying, just 2 days before my birthday. January 13th, 2026 at 4:30. Thank you very much.
7 days before.
Oh, there you go. We should get.
All right.
So that's at the